Welcome back to the shop. I'm Jeff from Today's Craftsman, and we're talking about a tool today that a little bit infamous. It's the Festool Domino, the DF 500. This is the original Domino, and they have the XL, which we did make a video about several months ago. But this is like sort of a hotly debated tool. Do you need it? Is it worth the money? These go for, I don't even know now, maybe 1,500 bucks, somewhere between 1,500, 2,000 bucks. If you've never used a Domino or never heard of it, you might be asking yourself, what does this do? It looks kind of like a biscuit joiner. So what the Domino actually does is it cuts mortises for loose tenons. Some people call them slip tenons. In this case, they're called dominoes. So these come in a variety of sizes. This is a 10 millimeter. We're talking about the thickness here, 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter, and 5 millimeter. And you have your corresponding cutters. We have, that's an 8, this is a 5, and we have the 10 in the tool right now. So these are used for joining pieces of wood together. You know, they're good if you have to do a butt joint. So sometimes you run into instances where you don't have a piece of wood that's long enough. You have to do something that's 20 feet long, and typically you can't get your lumber in 20-foot sections unless you're talking about decking. So you might throw a couple dominoes in there. Gives you some nice alignment and glue surface. You can use it in a perpendicular sort of fashion like this for frames and doors. And then, I mean, there's a multitude of ways, but then you could use it, in this sort of orientation for attaching aprons to table legs, stuff like that. But the way it works, it's unplugged, don't worry, is we have this cutter, it's inside the tool, and it spins and it also oscillates back and forth. So it comes out and it's moving this way, and it's also spinning. So it cuts a slot, and we'll show you it cutting, excuse me, a slot later, but we could show the controls here. So here's your on-off switch. This is the width adjustment. So there's 3 widths. You have one that will be the exact width of the domino. Then you have a medium setting and a large setting, which is good when you're trying to get things aligned. If you wanted to, do a joint like this, and you put your dominoes on the exact setting, and you didn't line up the fence perfectly, you might be a little bit off. So if you have wider slots in one of the pieces, you have a little bit of wiggle room to adjust it. Here is the depth of cut adjustment. So this is just a little stop that stops the bit. So you lift up this little catch. Right now we're set to 12 millimeters. You can set it to 15, 20, 25, or 28, depending on the length of the domino that you're using. This is a 50, so you would want to use the 25 or the 28, and you can use a combination. You can do 20 in here and 15 in here if you have a certain length. But you can see now how much further it sticks out. Here is the height adjustment. So we have where is it? Oh yeah, that's it. A little locking knob here for the fence, which has detents. But this is also height adjustable. So isn't there another knob that releases the... What, did it fall off? Isn't it right there? Came off in the drawer. Removable knob. So these are just, it just has a little hex in there. These are little hex bolts, so you can release that, and now this fence moves up and down. So you can change basically the distance between the center of the bit and your reference surface here. You can see how that works. And what I was talking about is this. So this is a little ramp basically with different heights where it'll stop. So it stops on that piece there. So again, you have a bunch of metric distances, 20, 22, 25, 28, 36, and 40. We can show you how change a bit. So they supply this little wrench. It's a 8mm wrench. And we have this little thing right here. Press that up, and you see it releases the body of the tool. We have a little arbor lock right here. So we can hold that down, turn that until you feel it go into the hole. And
don't smash your knuckles.
oh, mama.
Been in there a long time.
And just like that, just like that, the bit is released. Don't slip and cut yourself. So you can see it's really just like a spiral carbide router bit almost. It has an interesting grind on the end. So that's the 10 next to the 10mm domino. We can put on a 8mm cutter. So depending on the thickness of material, change this around. 8 is good for 3/4 solid stock. The 10 is good for 1-inch solid stock. And I think there's a 6 as well as the 5 are good for 3/4 plywood. This 8 is getting a little bit big for plywood. You're going between the laminations so you don't end up with a ton of strength above and below when you're using something this thick. So there's your cutter changed out. You don't have to tighten it down crazy amount. That's really on any tool. I'd say the shaper is the one thing that, I think we went through this on the last one too, where I couldn't get it. So there you go. Now we have an 8mm cutter installed. Like almost all of the Festool tools, comes with a plug-it cord. So these are interchangeable between tools. There's a 16 gauge and an 18 gauge. I'm assuming this is the 16 gauge because it's a more powerful tool than some of the other sanders and stuff. So this goes in, and you twist, and now it's locked on. So if you have a vacuum set up like we do, you can basically keep this cord in the vacuum at all of the time. And you could just change out the tools. So you just twist this, take it out, and you can change between a sander, a domino, etc. So to give you another view of how this works, we're going to actually make a cut here, and I'll leave the bit halfway out of this so you'll be able to see it boring into the side here. Joinery mocked up here. Could pretend that this is a door. So we have a rail and a stile. What we're going to do is we're going to put 2 dominoes in here. These are 8mm dominoes. And we're going to use the smallest setting here and the medium setting here. Something that you need to know is that Festool says that you should only turn this knob when the machine is running. So if you need to adjust the size, make sure you turn on the domino, then you can adjust the size. Just like a biscuit joiner, best practice is to mark both pieces. You can get really precise and measure and stuff. This is pretty lax. We have like a 4-inch wide piece. So we'll put one here and one here. So now, if we hit these marks, we'll line up. So first cut we'll make is on this rail. So we're in the small setting. Now, when we go to do these, again, you have to make sure that we turn the domino on before changing that setting. We went into our hole back here. This is scrap. Have our 8mm dominoes. So these fit nicely in here. If you're dry fitting your joints, these could be hard to take out. Not too bad. It's winter time, so these are a little bit smaller than they will be in the summertime. In the summertime, you probably have to pound these in. So you can actually, if you want to do a dry fit, you can sand these a little bit, sand these edges off, sand the faces a little bit, then you can get them in and out. A lot of guys will have a set that is for dry fitting and they'll paint them a color so that they don't get thrown out. So here's our rail and our style. And you can see, look, we have a little bit of adjustment here. So we have, about 330 seconds either direction. Maybe a little bit less, but nice to be able to get things lined up after the fact. So Rob's had this domino since 2007. I bought my domino in 2014. It's been around a long time. So that's what, 16 years that this has been around? No, 17 years, yeah. 2024. So there's been a couple different renditions since this one. Mine was a little bit different. They've definitely made some upgrades in terms of the stops on the front and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, this could be used in a lot of different ways. It makes mortise and tenon joinery really fast. So you don't have to set up a router. You don't have to hand cut these. You can make, relatively strong joints really quick and easy. So might be worth it if you're looking to move into making more furniture. It opens a lot of possibilities in terms of speed. So worth the investment. We have to have it. We can't really, function without our Domino XL, the Lamello Zeta P2, a biscuit joiner. These are all things that we need to have in the shop so that when the situation arises, we can use these specific tools. If you have any questions about the domino or any other tools, leave it down in the comments and we'll see you on the next one.